And let's bring in ABC News contributor, former progressive Senate candidate Cristina Tzintzún Ramirez, along with Republican strategist and former Vivek Ramaswamy senior advisor Tricia McLaughlin for more. Tricia, President-elect Trump has promised mass deportation starting on day one. That's sure to face legal challenges. So how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think this starts with public sentiment, which we found in polling that more than 50% of Americans say that they want mass deportation. There has been, recent ICE reports that say over the past decade, more than 14,000 illegal immigrants have entered this country who have committed murder, 24,000 plus illegal immigrants in this country who have been convicted of rape or sexual assault. So I think that they're going to start with those individuals who pose a national security risk or have otherwise been convicted of a crime besides just illegally entering the United States. Of course, that will be met with lots of litigation, but I think that Donald Trump will, he's dealt with a lot of litigation in his personal capacity, but also as president from 2017 to 2020. So this is not something that they're not ready to face.
Cristina, this wasn't just winning the presidential election. This could potentially be winning all of the swing states. We still have 3 left uncalled, but Trump is ahead in those right now. Popular vote also not definite, but he is ahead in that right now. Republicans have gained control of the Senate. They may keep the House. That's still left to be called. A lot of people are looking at this and saying this is a mandate for Donald Trump to govern. So what are the lessons learned here for Democrats?
I think what we see is a population that is in deep economic pain, and they're swinging from Republican to Democrat, trying to disrupt the status quo. And I think ultimately Democrats that believe in unions and worker power and taxing the rich their fair share, these are winning policies, but they need to be at the forefront of their campaigns to be able to win. And that there has to be deep investment also in key portions of the electorate, young voters, Latino voters as well, early on. This is one election. This isn't a generational shift. I think people are going to organize and keep fighting back. The last thing I'll say is, even if Trump tries to deport millions of Americans, those policies, those very draconian anti-immigrant policies, ultimately led to him losing in part in 2020 because they were so cruel. And we know that we have millions of undocumented immigrants, the vast majority of our food picked and grown by immigrant and undocumented hands, key portion of the construction workforce. We can build an immigration system that protects American-born and foreign-born workers. I don't think that Trump's plan actually does that. So there will be massive economic disruption. So we'll see ultimately if he does try and do that, when the chickens come home to roost, there will be deep backlash against those policies.
Tricia, President-elect Trump suggested on the campaign trail that he could prosecute his political opponents, including Vice President Harris. Early this morning, we heard a different message from him talking about the need for the country to heal now. So which do you expect to see take office in January? And what would your advice to the president-elect be on that?
I think the country needs to heal. It needs to unite. I don't think he should prosecute his political opponents. Like we saw Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris administration consistently go after Donald Trump. He said he wants his success to be his retribution. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pardon Hunter Biden and really give an olive branch out to the Biden family. As far as mass deportations go, let's be incredibly clear. No one is talking about deporting American citizens. We're talking about deporting illegal immigrants. That should be very clear. And I also think it's wrong to talk about exploiting illegal immigrants for cheap labor, as far as for picking crops or for doing construction. I think that's inhumane and is not a reason we should keep people in this country for cheap labor.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. That's why I've supported and worked with labor unions my whole life, and why the vast majority of labor unions support immigration reform so that they can have a pathway to citizenship and legal status so that they are not exploited. The current Trump plan on immigration and Republicans, which failed to move forward any immigration plan over the last decade and a half, has kept them as an exploitable workforce. And of course, many of those industries, can tell you here in Texas where I live, where half of the construction workforce is undocumented, some of those are the biggest donors to the Republican Party and candidates because they like the status quo of a cheap, exploitable workforce.
All right, Cristina Tzintzún Ramirez, Tricia McLaughlin, we have to leave it there. Thank you both.